The desert heat rippled above the cracked highway, leading to a dusty bar on the edge of Benson, Arizona. It was the kind of place folks passed without a second glance. A forgotten speck called a rusted spur inside. The air was thick with the scent of old wood and spilled whiskey. A battered ceiling fan stirred the heat lazily, while a worn-out radio hummed low country tunes. Behind the bar worked a woman they simply called Sam. Tall, lean, and quiet, she kept her blonde hair tucked beneath a faded cap, mirrored aviators hiding her eyes. She moved with a grace that didn't belong in a place like this. Measured, deliberate, as if every gesture had purpose. Locals didn't ask about her past. They sensed the weight behind her silence, the edge beneath her calm. But that night, trouble rolled in on two wheels. The Iron Dogs biker gang, loud and mean, kicked up dust as they roared to a stop. The leader, a wiry man known as Chains, strode in first, his boots heavy on the worn floorboards. He tossed his helmet onto a table and smirked at Sam. "Look at this," he called out, his voice full of mockery. "Bartender don't talk? Ain't that sweet?" His crew laughed, spreading out around the bar, their presence like a storm cloud. Sam said nothing. She wiped down the counter, her movements unhurried. Chains slammed his hand down, rattling the glasses. "What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Or are you just too dumb to speak?" Sam didn't flinch. The corner of her mouth twitched, barely noticeable. That subtle reaction only fueled their arrogance. One biker yanked the glasses from her face. Another snatched the cap from her head, revealing eyes like tempered steel, sharp, cold, unblinking. The room held its breath. There was something dangerous in that gaze, something the gang was too drunk or too foolish to recognize. Chains leaned closer, his grin wide. "Come on, sweetheart, give us a smile." That's when Sam moved. Slow at first, she reached on a bar, not for a weapon but for an old set of dog tags, the metal worn, the name stamped clear. Samantha Cole, Delta Force. She let it swing before Chain's face. His smirk faded as he read it, but before he could react, Sam struck. In a heartbeat. She had his wrist twisted until bone cracked, sending him crashing over the bar. The rest tried to surge forward, but Sam was already in motion, vaulting the counter with precision that defied belief. A giant of a man lunged at her. She shattered his knee with a low, brutal kick. Another drew a blade, but she disarmed him in a blink, driving the knife into the wood beside his head. The bar became a battleground of broken glass and overturned tables. Sam flowed through them like a storm, every strike calculated, every move unstoppable. She dodged a chain swung at her, trapping it under her arm and yanking the attacker down hard, knocking the wind from him with a brutal knee. A biker charged. She used his own momentum to drive him face first into a beam. Minutes later, they lay scattered, groaning and beaten, nursing broken bones and bruised pride. Sam stood over them, calm and steady, slipping her hat and glasses back in place. She crouched beside Chains, her voice low enough for only him to hear. "You show your faces here again, and you'll leave in body bags." No calls went out to the sheriff. There was no need. The locals knew better. When word spread through town, they'd raise their glasses to the bartender, who kept to herself but ended trouble with ruthless certainty. The Iron Dogs, bloodied and humiliated, dragged themselves to their bikes and disappeared into the desert night, vowing never to return. Sam righted the bar stools, brushing away shards of glass, as if cleaning up after a spilled drink rather than a brawl. A few faces appeared at the windows, wide-eyed, but none dared speak. In Benson, you didn't ask questions about Sam. As she wiped the dark smear from the bar top, headlights cut through the night. Sam's hand slid on the bar instinctively, but it wasn't more bikers. Sheriff Granger stepped inside, his boots crunching on broken glass. He surveyed the wreckage, the blood, the shattered chairs, the moaning men outside. He met Sam's gaze, his brow furrowed. "You gonna tell me what went down here?" The memories stirred, unbidden. Afghanistan, a night lit by gunfire. Her unit caught in an ambush, radios crackling with panic, the air thick with dust and blood. She fought through it, silent and relentless, dragging wounded brothers across jagged mountains until rescue came at dawn. They'd called her a hero. She'd never cared for the word. Now, Sam just gave the sheriff a look, wiped her hands on a rag, and went back to cleaning. Granger understood. He tipped his hat, stepped back into the night, and left her to the hum of the fan and the flicker of neon. The night air over the desert was thick and heavy, the kind that carried the weight of things unsaid. The cracked sign above a weather bar flickered in the dark, casting broken light across the lot. Inside, a woman moved with quiet purpose. Slim, steady, and unreadable, she was known only as Sam. She didn't invite conversation and gave nothing away, just kept the drinks poured and the peace kept. Sheriff Granger stood in the doorway, his voice rough with fatigue. "You gonna fill me in on what went down here?" he asked, eyes sweeping the wreckage. Sam only gave a small shrug, tossing a rag onto the counter. Granger let out a dry chuckle, shaking his head. "Figured. I'll mark it down as self-defense and call it a night." He paused, one hand resting on the doorframe, gaze lingering on her. "People like you. Trouble doesn't leave you be. It comes looking." Sam adjusted her cap, pulling it low over a scar that cut through her hairline, a mark from years back, earned far from this bar. If trouble wanted to find her, let it. She wasn't running. She was ready. The desert stretched out beyond the bar, silent and endless, but the message was clear now. Everyone in town, and soon beyond, would know better than to cross the quiet bartender with the storm beneath her skin. Days later, the heat carried something new, something sharp. The air felt wrong, charged. Sam sensed it before the engines even echoed through the night. This wasn't the clatter of drunks or punks. This was something colder. 3 black SUVs crept into the lot, engines low and smooth, and men stepped out. No patches, no wild hair or swinging chains, just cold precision. Their movements told Sam what she needed to know. These weren't amateurs. These were men who knew the weight of a trigger pull. Then she saw him, a face from a life she thought she'd buried. Vance, once a brother in arms, now a ghost who had walked away from a village in flames. His grin was as cruel as she remembered. Inside, the few locals left felt the shift in the air and started slipping out the back. Sam's fingers brushed the grip of the pistol hidden beneath the bar as the door creaked open. Vance strolled in, slow and sure. "Well, look at you," he drawled, voice thick with mockery. "Heard you're playing small-town bartender now. Cute." Sam said nothing, her stare flat, waiting. "You embarrassed some of my people the other night." Vance continued, leaning in close. "Cost me. Now I've got to set things straight. Got to show folks what happens when someone crosses me." Sam didn't move, but the tension in her frame was a coiled spring. Vance smirked. "Here's your chance. Get on your knees. Beg. Maybe I let you walk away." Her voice came quiet, calm, and final. "Walk away, Vance. That's the only chance you're getting." Vance laughed, sharp and mean, and signaled his men. "Light her up?" But Sam was faster. 2 shots cracked the stillness, one dropping a man with a shattered knee, the other disarming another with a bullet through his hand. Chaos erupted. The room became a battleground of broken tables and flying glass. Sam was already moving, leaping the bar, a blur of fists and gunmetal. A sweep of her leg sent one man crashing down, his weapon ripped free and turned against him. Shots took out the lights, and darkness swallowed the room. They couldn't see her, but they could feel her. Bones snapped in the dark, ribs gave under precise blows, and skulls met with sickening thuds. Vance fired blindly, his rage filling the room, but Sam was never in his sights. She was already at his side, twisting his arm back until it cracked. "You should have stayed gone," she said, low and fierce. Then she slammed him into the bar, ending it. Outside, she dumped Vance's limp form into the dust. His men scrambled for their vehicles, engines roaring as they fled into the night, broken and beaten. Granger arrived just as the last SUV disappeared down the road. He took one look at the ruin of the place, at Sam with her pistol hanging loose at her side, and sighed. Misunderstanding. Sam holstered the weapon, offering a shrug. Close enough. The sheriff glanced at Vance's crumpled body. "Want me to take him in?" "Let the desert have him," Sam said, her voice steady. Granger nodded, understanding in his eyes. Some reckonings didn't belong in a courtroom. As his cruiser pulled away, lights fading into the distance. Sam leaned against the doorway of the bar, cigarette glowing in the dark. Trouble had come, and she'd put it down. But she knew this wasn't over. If Vance could find her, others would too. And next time, she wouldn't wait for them to bring the fight.